A new year and a new person leading the Springfield City Council, Justin Hurst. He comes to the post with 5 years experience as a city councilor, and he brings his perspective as a lifelong city resident. Tensions between some members of the council and Mayor Domenic Sarno have been high in recent months. So I asked Hurst why he wanted to be council president now.
Well, I thought it was an excellent opportunity. I've sat back for the last 5 years, and, I've learned under some great presidents, Councilor Fenton, as well as Councilor Ramos. And, I thought it was an excellent opportunity, and, it was my time to lead, and I was happy that the City Council believed in me.
Great. Welcoming Cities Trust Act, the council this week decided to override the mayor's veto, and there's been several months of back and forth over this issue, which largely would bar city employees from asking about a person's immigration status. Why was it important for the council to take the step and override this veto?
I think it was important just because the city of Springfield is a place where a number of cultures immigrated to, and the fact that we can't be receptive for those who are here already just is unfortunate. And essentially, what we're doing is just codifying what folks already do already. Right now, city officials don't ask for immigration status. And
are you confident in that? You don't think that it's going on? That wasn't the reason for you putting it in place. Your concern that people were doing something?
No, I think the reason that we put it in place was merely for public safety and making sure that people had a sense of trust between their city officials and the citizens that reside here.
Because how do you enforce a measure like this?
Well, I think, again, this just codified what folks were doing already. They weren't asking for immigration status. I don't think that they're going to all of the sudden start asking for one's immigration status now. I think what you will find is more people coming forward who might have been, not as forthright before in terms of reporting crimes to police, reporting illegal behavior to police. Now hopefully they'll feel a sense of comfort and be able to do that and not feel as though, they might be questioned about their immigration status. So I think ultimately what it's going to do is protect the city of Springfield and make it even more safer.
Recently, when you were sworn in as city council president, you kind of outlined some of the things that you'd like to take on as the leader of this body here in the city of Springfield. One of those matters is a police commission, a citizens police commission. You're smiling a little bit because this is one of those areas I suspect that has been a little contentious with the mayor. Where are you on the status of this right now?
Well, we're certainly going to move forward. I said that I was going to stand shoulder to shoulder with Councilor Ryan. The reality is that we had an ordinance on the books already, and all we did was amend the ordinance that was on the books. I think it's very clear that something needs to be done, and the system that we have in place with a single commissioner right now, in my opinion, is not working. The mayor and I disagree on this.
What about it isn't working?
Well, I mean, the fact that you have the state attorney general's office in here investigating the police department is a problem. The fact that you have the FBI in here investigating the police department is a problem. The fact that we've dealt out over $1 million last year in police settlements for rogue police officers is a problem. The fact that we have a number of police officers who essentially can't testify in court because their credibility is not there. They're essentially not credible, and so essentially what we're doing is letting these criminals back onto the streets who should be locked up is a problem. And so absent something drastic happening in the police department or with our police commissioner, we need an alternative, and I think the citizens of Springfield deserve an alternative.
Last time that the city of Springfield had this was about 2005. The Finance Control Board came in at that point and said, no, we're going to disband this, it needs to be eliminated, and went to the current system with a chief who is tasked with disciplining with a commissioner rather,
yes,
who's tasked with overseeing the department. What would be different this time around? Because the city has had this form of oversight before.
Let me be clear. I'm not 100% sure that a police commission is the answer. What I can tell you is that in absence of a system that is working for the citizens of Springfield, we as councilors need to do something. And so the hope is that you have a number of folks, hiring, firing, and holding officers accountable will make more of a difference than what it is that we have now.
And just on balance, Mayor Sarno has said, he fully supports Commissioner Barbieri and wants to keep that system in place.
It's a difference of opinion. The mayor very well may be seeing something that I'm not, but in terms of, every other day I'm picking up the newspaper and there's another story, there's another article around the fact that the Attorney General has to come in here and hold officers accountable when our system is not doing that. Same thing that happened with Detective Bigda. The fact that the FBI is forced to come in here and charge a rogue police officer with something that he should have been charged with a long time ago and ultimately fired from the department is a problem. And so it seems to me that it's systemic. And anytime you have a systemic problem, there needs to be an overhaul. And it's not common that you have federal agencies and state agencies getting involved in the business of local officials, and it shouldn't happen. So in absence of leadership that is desperately needed in the police department, we need an alternative. And that alternative right now at the moment is a police commission. And if councilors have other alternatives, I'm certainly open to hearing those.
Great. I'm going to have us move on. The Special Commission on Marijuana Regulation, a new commission for the city of Springfield here. What's your vision for that body?
My hope is that we can seamlessly usher in an industry that is going to yield a lot of revenue for the city of Springfield. I think we need to do it so that, we're cognizant of residents, and I think we need to do it so that, we don't have a number of folks from out of town rushing in and they don't have, good plans to usher in this industry into the city of Springfield.
Knowing that Holyoke is a community neighboring Springfield, it's been looking at this issue for a while, very open. We've had Marcus Marrero, the community development director in Holyoke, here to talk about that. They're very open to the idea of having marijuana in the city. I think it's so far 6 businesses are going through the application process. Another dozen or so are interested in Holyoke. Do you feel like Springfield's behind the 8 ball?
I don't think we're behind the 8 ball. I think what we want to do is we want to do it right. And so when the city came up with their zoning regulations, we really took our time. When we came up with our regulations for our general ordinance that issues fines for violation of the general ordinance, we took our time. And we took our time because the citizens of Springfield deserve for us to usher in a new system and do it the right way. And that's part of the reason why I appointed Councilor Fenton. Councilor Fenton, and I didn't always see eye to eye. I certainly was more concerned about making sure that this industry actually blossomed in the city of Springfield and brought in the desperately needed revenue that this city needs. Whereas, Councilor Fenton was more on the side of making sure that that residents were protected. And it's not as though I don't feel the same way. I think I just when I saw it in Denver, it was that the industry itself, it didn't feel like it was hampering anything that was happening, whether it was businesses or whether it was residents. It seemed like the industry was booming over there and it fit seamlessly within the entire city. And so my hope was that that would be the case here in Springfield. And so I was more about making sure that we actually, had enough facilities to where the revenue, made a difference. And it won't come as fast as people want it to come, but I think when it comes, it will be done the right way, and hopefully it'll be done in concert with the administration.
Speaking of dollars and cents, City Council recently kind of tabled the discussion around whether or not to give itself a raise. Initially had given the nod to this concept of a 51% pay raise. Should Council be looking at the idea of a pay raise for itself?
I think we need to do it. I think we need to do it as part of a long-term study. I also think we need to put some measures in place that don't allow one councilor to have to bring this issue up every 5 years and then fall on
5 years. That's the last time that the council has seen a pay raise.
It was roughly 5 years, and so the fact that one councilor has to bring it to the forefront and then fall on the sword for the rest of the councilors who ultimately will benefit in my opinion, is a problem. Whether it's the cost of living, whether we attach a raise to the cost of living, like is done in some other municipalities, or we find some other mechanism in terms of raising the pay, not just of the city council, but also of the school committee and the mayor. We just need to do it, because it always is a hot button issue that nobody wants to take
The committee that looked at this, Compensation Review Committee, recommended a smaller amount, $5,500. So why the larger jump?
To be honest with you, I can't speak for the rest of my colleagues. I certainly will be supportive. I more so looked at it from the standpoint of the mayor's pay raise. And I think the mayor deserved, and not just the mayor, but the mayor's seat deserves a significant pay raise, especially being that, the city of Springfield has the second largest budget in the Commonwealth. And we're the third largest city in the Commonwealth. And, I know our councilors work hard. I know the mayor works hard, and I know the school committee works hard. And so I think at the end of the day, they deserve their just due. I think we need to be transparent about the process the next time we do it. And I think it needs to be an elongated study, and hopefully we'll be able to bring it back and, make it make more sense, to the residents. I think we heard loud and clear that what we were trying to give ourselves was too much. And we just need to be patient and really put the time in and study it and see what other municipalities have done.